Hey guys, I'm going to be doing a review of the Paranormal Activity movies. I'm going to do all six and talk about what I think of them individually and collectively as a franchise. Anyway, without further ado, I'm just going to start with one. Paranormal Activity, the first one is, in my opinion, one of the best ones, and actually, in my opinion, one of the best horror films ever made. It, the first and second one are, to me, essential horror viewing. I think they're fantastic. I think they're well done. The acting is great in both. Um, there's genuine atmosphere and suspense about them. Uh, the first one, for those who haven't seen it, is about a couple who's living in a house, and they're just normal guy and girl, and they start noticing weird shit going on, and that gives them the idea to, well, first get like a priest in, and he definitely detects something malevolent. Um, then they have the idea to start recording what's going on, and that's where a lot of the suspense comes from. Is just how simplistic it is. It's just, you know, a very minimalist production. There's just a few cameras. I imagine the crew is mostly just the director and the two actors. And there's a lot of mileage out of that. It creates a lot of creepy suspense, a lot of tension. Um, there's a scene where they have a Ouija board, and they're playing with it to kind of contact whatever's going on. And when they leave, it just holds on it. It's like a long, lingering shot on it, and then out of nowhere, it just erupts into flames. So things like that. There's another part where they find a footprint. Like they put some, like, I think baby powder down, and they come back the next morning and there's just tracks like in the floor. So that's great. And plus, since it's the first movie, before it was like this huge franchise that definitely devolved. You didn't know where it was going. You didn't know if you were actually going to see the thing, or or it was going to make itself known somehow in an obvious way. You didn't know where it was going. You didn't know how the movie was going to end. You didn't know what kind of creepy things were going to evolve. It was definitely just shit. Holy shit, this is scary. I'm not going to spoil it, but it definitely has a great ending, and all of these have great endings. Like, even if the movies, some of these in the series itself, which I think most of them are just terrible, the endings to these movies are always fantastic and always interesting and always memorable. Like, even if, like, when I saw a few of them, I couldn't even tell you really what most of the action is, but the endings to every one stand out in my mind. And this one is actually a hell of an ending that's pretty damn creepy and also shockingly unexpected. Like, you do not see this coming. So I highly recommend the first one. Like, to me, the first one is one of the best horror films ever made, and it shows you what you can really accomplish with a very small budget, very minimalistic writing, and just good acting. So the second one, Paranormal Activity 2, is different and yet a lot like the first one, but it's still fantastic in its own way. And I actually think the second one's even better than the first one. To me, the second one, if you don't watch any others, just watch the second one. But the second one is about a family. This one's actually a mother, father, some kids, and they just live in a normal suburban, life. They don't. They don't strike you as anybody who would be into the occult or anything. They're just normal people. And they start having some weird phenomena go on. Like, I forget exactly how it starts, but they install some cameras, I think as security to keep out burglars or something. And at first, it's all like the first one. Like, it's just cameras set up. It's just observing things. And then it's little tiny things happen. Like, it'll like hold on a long shot of like the swimming pool, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the garden hose will just fling itself into the swimming pool. Just little things like that at first, before it starts getting to the big shit. Um, The family also has a baby, which is pretty important towards the end of the movie, and I'll get to that in a second. But at first, you're wondering, how is this family connected to the first one? Is this just another family that's affected by this thing, or is it an entirely different story? Is it trying to be what Halloween was trying to be with Halloween 3 and have a separate story entirely? Well, not exactly, because you find out, and I won't give away how because I don't want to spoil too much, but you find out that the mother and wife of this family is the sister to the girl in the first movie. And they have a pretty big connection with each other. And basically, the second one ends in a way that's even more shocking and more disturbing, really, than the first one. And it ends in a way where you're like, holy shit, what's going to happen next? Because, it sets it up definitely for a third one. Definitely for a sequel, but you don't know exactly what's going to happen. Like, you don't know, like, where is this going to go? You're like, wow, that was really surprising and scary and disturbing. Actually, I think the actors in this one is better than the two in the first movie. I think the family all plays well with each other. They actually remind me of what a real family would act like, and what real people would do in this situation if they were ever confronted with it. They work well off each other. You watch it, you really like, okay, that's a mom and that's a dad, and these are the kids, and this is how they would all interact as a family unit. And when shit starts getting scary, you're like, oh my god, I actually care about these people, so I don't want to see them get hurt. And you wonder, who's going to make it out? Who's not going to make it out? Are they all going to die? Or it's definitely really, really suspenseful stuff. Really good. So, if you don't watch any of the Paranormal Activity movies, and honestly, I would blame if you didn't watch most of them, at least watch 2, because that's the best one. And honestly, after the first 2, the series goes downhill, but I'll talk about that in a second. But definitely watch 2. I can't recommend it highly enough. For all 1 or 2 of you watching this, I hope you definitely check it out. So, okay, moving on to 3. 3 is different. I thought 3 was going to be a direct sequel to 2. I thought 3 was going to pick up immediately where Paranormal Activity 2 left off, but it doesn't. When I first put in the DVD, I was like, okay, this is going to show me exactly what happened after the events of 2 happened, after the girl from the first one makes her appearance and leaves again. You're going to find out where she went and everything. Well, you don't. 3 is actually a prequel. I give it props for surprising me with that. I didn't know it was going to be a prequel. But the premise of 3 is this creepy phenomena had gone on when the 2 sisters were kids. And their father, who's a documentarian, starts setting up cameras everywhere. And you see the girls interacting with this thing. Now, you don't actually see what it looks like. It's invisible. But there's really creepy scenes of the camera will be set up in a room at night, and it'll be late, and one of them will crawl out of bed and just kind of stand in the corner just staring vacantly, but you can tell that she's communicating with something. It's things like that. This one is, I won't say it's bad. It's not a bad movie. It just doesn't have the quality of 1 and 2. It's definitely pretty good. I wasn't blown away, but at the same time, I didn't think it sucked either. I just thought, oh, it's good. But it has great moments. And I don't just mean the ending. There's really creepy suspense moments, like I said, like the parts where the girls are seen interacting with this thing. There's another part where there's a babysitter, and she's sitting at the kitchen table, and there's a camera set up on one of those turning fans that goes like this. So it goes, pans and just her sitting there, and it goes away. And you see the kitchen, and it pans back, and there's something in a sheet, basically a kid in a Halloween sheet costume standing behind her, except it's a full grown. It'd be the size of a man, and it pans back, and it's a little closer, and it goes back, comes back, it's a little closer. So you don't know what's going on. Like, you don't know if like this girl's gonna get killed or what's gonna happen. And at the very last second, like I think the phone rings or the doorbell rings, and like it comes back and she just collapses. So that was actually really good. Like, and I didn't feel like that was spoiling anything because that's not really. I don't think it was pivotal to the plot, but it was a really good scene. And it's also interesting to see kind of the history that these people have with this thing, because this movie establishes like, okay, this family has some kind of history with some kind of dark force or something, and this later becomes apparent even more in the fourth one. But it's set in the 80s, and like the father documents everything on, you know, this really high grade equipment for then. And being a documentary filmmaker, he has, you know, resources to make those kind of, to set up cameras like that. So it's definitely worth watching. I don't recommend it nearly as highly as 1 and 2, but 3 is definitely good. And this brings us to the ones that are shitty. Alright, so 4, in my opinion, is the worst one. Even more than 5 and 6, 4 to me is the ultimate bad Paranormal Activity movie. Like, to me, the series never got as bad as 4. And even though 5 and 6 are bad, like, this one is like the most lowest bar set. Like, the first 2 were on a high note, and then they just, you know, crashed. And then 5 and 6 brought it up a little bit, but not nearly as much. So, I'm just... I don't know if I would just want to talk about how much it sucks or rant about like why you shouldn't watch it. I guess I'll just kind of wing it. Just kind of give you a general opinion of it. Both why you shouldn't watch it and why I hated it. So 4 actually is a direct sequel to 2. 4 you actually find out what happened after 2 ended. Okay, so this one is about another family entirely. This one actually is about a family who's not connected to the main family in 1, 2, 3. 4 follows a, again, suburban family. These guys are supposed to be a normal family, but their acting is so bad I can't see them. I can't actually see a family talking and behaving like this. Oh God, I'll get into that in a second. But okay, so 4 follows this family. The youngest son makes friends with this creepy kid, and it's obvious that he is possessed or evil. Like, there's no subtlety in 4. Like, this one, like, the film is trying to make you think, oh, it's just a normal, quiet, you know, little boy, when in reality, the kid acts more like, I am the evil one who possesses you. And it's so obvious. It's like, no, like, that kid is bad medicine. You don't fuck with that kid. And yet, the kid does become friends with him because everybody in this movie is a dumbass. And the kids start hanging around more, and that's when the creepy shit starts happening to this family. And again, and this one is weird because there's no really good reason why they set up cameras in this one. There's no necessary like good cause or like we should set up cameras and watch it. It's more like I think the dad just got paranoid of like the teenage girl's boyfriend or whatever, who is understandable because that guy is a pervert and complete jackass. And the most unrealistic thing about that is not the fact that they set up cameras. No, it's all webcams on laptops, and they're all running 24/7. That's it. Like, it's like if there's no way to keep them powered for so long. There's no way that they're just gonna like, you know, you have to keep them charged, and they don't. Like, they just have an infinite supply of juice to keep them going, which is stupid. But that's not the stupidest thing about this movie. Oh God, where do I begin? Okay, all the characters are stupid. The acting is horrible. The writing is even worse. I feel like at this point they were just trying to be like, hey, we're gonna write and direct this for money. Let's just try to get as much money as we can out of this series. It's fucking disgusting. God. Okay. Anyway, sorry. Really stupid. It's a terrible, terrible movie. The teenage girl acts like a airhead, like no an actual teenage girl would act like. The little brother, like for some reason, is still being bathed by his mother, and he's old enough to bathe by himself. However, she's so stupid, she gets a phone call, goes into the room, leaving him, apparently, the one that she's supposed to, bathe and take care of, alone, which, in fact, actually causes the thing to try to drown the kid, and he's splashing and yelling for help, and it just cuts to the mother in the room like, oh, yeah. The dad is a complete, caricature of the stupid